Okay, so see how technology gets into me. The reason I put this slide up is because hormones are quite a tricky subject. People obviously know little bits and bobs about hormones, but we tend to think about them as things where we get moody, certain times of the month, and we tend to relate them more to sort of our reproductive system more than anything, with us being women. But as you can see, there's a whole different mixture of hormones. There's lots of different... Hello, you're right. Yes, thank you. There's a whole lot of different things that we need to know about hormones to keep them balanced. So basically that was that one. So what am I going to be talking about tonight? So hopefully I'm going to give you a little bit of an understanding of how hormones work, how important they are to be balanced, and how they impact on weight loss and gaining weight and lots of other different things which affect all of us. And also how they'll affect your night's sleep. And my good friend Hannah is going to be talking about the menopause and how that might be affecting you with your weight loss and any other problems you might have surrounding the perimenopause or the menopause. So if you have any of these, then it could be that your hormones are out of balance. Hormones are basically little chemical messengers that go around the body, and they trigger off other messengers. And so what you'll find is if one of them is sending the wrong message, then the wrong thing's going to be happening, and you'll find that they'll be up and down. And I'll show you how sort of certain hormones will be way too high, which will cause other ones to drop, which will cause lots of different problems for you. And some of those things you can find will be things like cravings, mood swings. You can get tired out, you know, like in the afternoon when you sort of get that sudden crash around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's not just down to you, it's down to the balance of your hormones, and because they're out of balance, you'll find that that's why that's happening. You can find it hard to lose weight or get to a certain weight and not be able to get past that, so maybe sort of that last stone and a half a stone, whatever it is for some people. Give you irregular periods and poor sleep quality. So all of that type of thing is mixed in the hormone mix. It's often how you feel, isn't it? You kind of find that you're not sleeping, and then so in the morning you wake up and you're tired and you're grumpy, and then you maybe sort of have the wrong thing for breakfast because you're craving something, and that kind of sets you up badly for the whole of the day. And so you get into work and your boss is having a go at you, and you're not having a very good day, and your stress levels are going up, and by lunchtime you deserve that bar of chocolate that you promised yourself, and so you have a bar of chocolate. And it just causes all sorts of different problems with the chemical reactions in your body with your hormones. So then by the evening, you know, you fly in the door and you give yourself a glass of wine and sit yourself down and have your takeaway pizza and whatever it is you have, and then you go back through the whole cycle where you can't sleep. And so, yeah, it can be very frustrating. So hopefully I'm going to help you with that. So as I said, hormones, they're your chemical messenger, and in the body there's various different systems. It's a systems that need to work together, and the hormonal system is part of the endocrine system. You don't need to know all the real sciencey bits with it. I'm going to show you some slides about what the endocrine system is, but basically the little messengers, they travel through the bloodstream and they tell other organs and they tell other hormones what the message that they need to give them. So if they're giving them the wrong message, then it's obviously not going to work as balanced for you. So they work slowly over time and they affect many different processes. They'll affect growth and development and metabolism. Growth and development is things like how lean you get, whether you're growing your muscle. Metabolism is, I can't say the word, is how your body gets energy from the food you eat. Your sexual function, your reproduction, and obviously things like mood. here we have the endocrine system. Just take a little look. We can see that the majority of them are just glands, and the glands secrete the hormones around the body and are responsible for lots of different functions. And what you'll find is that they're kind of paired up so that one hormone will work with its partner. So if one's high, then the other one tends to be low. So it's kind of finding that balance between the two different pairings. But obviously they're not just working with that pairing, they're also sending other little messages that will affect all the other ones as well. So it has kind of a knock-on effect with all of them if one of them is out of sync or too high or too low. So these are the hormones that are secreted from each gland. You've got the adrenal gland, which is probably one that you've heard of, which secretes adrenaline and cortisol. And cortisol is the stress hormone. We're going to be talking a lot about the stress hormone tonight, because basically if cortisol is out of balance, like so it's too high or too low, then it will cause all the other hormones to be out of balance. And if cortisol is in balance, then everything else tends to sort of settle in and work really well together. The one that we've probably all heard of is the thyroid gland. We hear of lots of people having underactive or overactive thyroid. Usually underactive. Underactive is the most common. Overactive tends to be just a temporary thing and can turn into underactive thyroid. From the stomach, we've got ghrelin. And we've got the pancreas, which secretes insulin and glucagon. We've got the pineal gland, which is melatonin. Let's go back up. So you can see that the pineal gland is right up in the brain there. And that melatonin is what's responsible for sleep pattern, so quite important. And then we've got the ovaries, which is estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. So I'm going to talk to you a bit about cortisol, the stress hormone. I call it the stress hormone because that's basically what it is. It's a hormone that's secreted and produced in a stressful situation. So as you can see here, we all have hundreds of lists and things to do and people to see and places to go and people on our back. So when you're in a stress situation, cortisol is the hormone which gets you through that situation, gives you that rush. Now, stress can come from all of these different forms. Just as I was saying in a scenario.
Is that all?
There's quite a lot more probably branching off. There's just some of them, otherwise we could just go through that, wouldn't we? So yeah, I'm sure we can identify with a few of those, yeah? And those sort of stresses that just don't go away overnight. It's obviously something that you're living with all the time. So, you know, if it's something that's at work, you've got to go to work every day, you can't just take that stress away. So your system gets used to living in a permanently raised cortisol environment. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about cortisol and why it can be so upsetting. So, I'll just pick a few how stress can affect all of you. So people kind of think of stress, oh, it's just an excuse for feeling not very well, but it can give you all sorts of different problems, from headaches, negativity, depression, insomnia. There's lots of different things on there. You know, it can drive you to drink. People recognise a few symptoms there. So obviously it's not, with stress, it's not something that we can very easily control, and it's not something that we always see. It's something that we get very used to living with just daily stress, really. So how the stress hormone works. In caveman times, I'm going to show you a little video in a minute, but in caveman times, we have evolved obviously from caveman times, we had the fight or flight response, and we still have that within us. So what are you laughing for, Lizzie?
I just think some of us might have done, but some of us haven't.
Okay, so we get attacked, we get a saber-toothed tiger coming towards us, and our first response is, do we fight or do we run away? And then lots of adrenaline and cortisol is produced. So that's in response to that situation. Because what that does is that then gives you that surge to be able to either stand and fight or to get away. And I know that sounds like an extreme, but that is how your body responds in a stressful situation even now. So, you know, you have a divorce, or you have an argument with your husband, or your children are stressing you out. It's the same response that your body's giving you as it is, you know, back in caveman times. We haven't evolved that much, and we've got much more stress in our lives now. So the response is still there. Unfortunately now, though, we don't stand and fight. You know, we're not going to bash our kids over the head and beat them up. We might do that. No, we're not supposed to, Liz. And we don't run away. You know, you're at work. You know, you want to kill your boss, but you don't. So, so yeah, we're still getting exactly the same response. So when the extra hormones aren't used in the fight or flight, then they carry on circulating around the body, and the liver, which is the organ that detoxifies everything and reuses all the hormones and gets them out of the body, it can't cope with the overload, and basically they get dumped into the fat cells, and hey presto, you put on weight. That's one of the things that happens. So this is the little video.
I thought this is your mood.
If it comes up, it'll be great. Oh no. Anybody do technology as well?
Do you know where it is? Do you know where the video is?
It's on YouTube.
Are you online?
Yeah.
Should we go and find it?
You've got the link.
Go on, let's go and find it.
Go Lizzie. Go Lizzie.
You can find it. Yes.
I'm the least qualified to do this, I'm going to tell you. Wonder of technology, isn't it? Do you know what it's called?
Right.
Can't find it, I don't know what it's called.
Do it after the break.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Abandon. Right, I'll abandon that for the moment. We're going to get back to your presentation. We're going to show them the art.
Yeah, we'll do that. Thanks,
The idea is
Anyway, do we get the idea of what it was about? Basically, the little video is about this little caveman and a saber-toothed tiger, and he's like attacking the tiger, and then they show that in relation to he's there, he's doing all this work, and then suddenly somebody piles more on his desk, and he's like rah.
or someone's trying to do a presentation.
Yeah, someone's trying to do a presentation. It doesn't work. Yeah, it was.
We don't need the video, do we? We get it. Yeah.
Who cares about the video? Okay, so in this diagram, I've got a pointy thing here. So this shows you what should be happening with your cortisol levels, and they do rise and fall, just the same as all hormones. All hormones don't stay level and balanced. They all rise and fall in a natural balance, so some of them should be higher at certain times of the day. So, say you're getting up, here's 6 AM, you're getting up early in the morning, and naturally your cortisol should be higher than when you kind of went to bed around here. Okay, so that's kind of when it's at its lowest, and that's good because we don't want lots of stress hormone in the body when you're going off to bed. We want it to be nice and low. So you go to sleep, you wake up, you feel bright and alert when you get out of bed, jump out of bed, yippee, it's the morning, off I go to work.
That's when we look at better this morning.
Hey! It is, exactly. So here we are, we get to lunchtime and we have a really sensible meal for lunch, because we're eating really well and healthy. And then naturally it falls off around here and you go to bed. you start again. So that's what should normally be happening. However, the scenario I described to you before with our general daily life, our stress levels tend to never kind of drop down here overnight, and so we don't get such a very good night's sleep. We're waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, doing loads of work, and then our levels just get higher and higher and higher, and then they might drop off a little bit. They will still rise and fall, but the line's going to be much more level, and much more raised level than it's needed to be. This is the natural level that we should be following with cortisol. And the importance of that is, obviously, if it does come down in the afternoon, you're naturally winding down more, you don't want to have loads of cortisol in your system, you want to be able to have a nice relaxing night's sleep. And then you want to feel awake, bright and breezy in the morning. You want to be able to get out of bed and not feel like, oh, another day. So that's kind of how it should be. So who feels like that? Who feels like they go to bed and they get plenty of sleep? Good 8 hours? Jen, you can put your hand up. You do get a good 8 hours, yeah? And so in the morning you wake up nice and bright and breezy, and it's like, okay, another day. I'm just going to put a laser on you. There's 2 people in the whole room. Shall I point them out? Okay, but normally, as you can see, there's a high percentage of people that don't. And I'm one of them. So cortisol will affect the natural balance of all your hormones, which is why it's the most important one for me to cover tonight. And I will talk very briefly about some other ones, but much more in depth about what cortisol is and why it causes so many problems, really. Raised stress levels will cause your growth hormone to be down. It will cause insulin to be high. It will cause all of the hormones to be out of balance. So. And if you're permanently stressed, you'll just find things like losing weight and sleeping and just feeling energetic and not fatigued. You'll find that really hard. So what do you need to do? You need to get as cute as you can. You need to create a stress-free zone, which is easier said than done. I just kind of put this up there because it's, you know, we all kind of know that what our lives are like and how we should be doing things differently, but it's not always that easy. You can't just kind of get rid of a stressful work environment, but you can work around and you can recognise that it's a problem and do things, put things into place so that it makes it a little bit easier on yourself, really. So these are just some of my suggestions. Ways to reduce cortisol on a daily basis would be to cut out caffeine, and that includes tea and coffee and fizzy drinks. Fizzy drinks have got caffeine in them, and chocolate as well. It's like he's had a heart attack now because I said you can't have chocolate. So quickly have a drink. So also processed food, and when we talk about processed food, I always think it's anything in a box, a packet, a jar, a tin is processed. It's not in its natural form. Processed food will have various different additives, preservatives, not necessarily numbers, but just things that are carefully hidden, and sometimes it's just sugar and wheat and stuff like that that's really not great for increasing the inflammation in the body, and that's because of cortisol. So an inflammation in the body can cause anything from sort of headaches to much bigger problems. So building in some me time into your day, so even if you just only have half an hour and able to go for a walk at lunchtime, or just do something for yourself, really. Try and get to bed earlier. Build yourself a routine into your day where you're, even if it's just 10 minutes a night, you go to bed earlier. I'm going to talk a little bit more about sleep towards the end of the presentation, and ways and things you can do to improve your sleep quality. But just as you would with kids, if you want them to go off to bed early, you just kind of need to be disciplined with yourself and turn the telly off, or stop doing whatever you're doing 10 minutes earlier so that you've got time to, wind down, really. Because sometimes if you're just going straight from watching, an action film or something on the telly, or you're on the computer, your brain doesn't have a chance to sort of shut that all out, really, or just even time to shut out a really busy day at work. And don't drink tea and coffee before you go to bed or late in the evening, because again it's a stimulant, so it's going to cause you sleep problems as well. Things like herbal tea, I talk about chamomile tea quite a lot, which I've actually spelled wrong. And Tulsi tea as well. And Tulsi tea is what is it? It's a
Basil.
It's basil. It's a herb. It's a herbal tea, but it's very, very relaxing. And it is known and it's proven to reduce cortisol, so it's very good to be drinking Tulsi tea. But chamomile recently is my favourite, so it's another herb that's really good for reducing stress and helping you sleep. And then I've put exercise less. And the reason I put that is because lots of people get a real high from exercise, and that's why they do it. They like to go and do a good workout and then feel the burn and then get the endorphins at the end of it. And that's all well and good, but it actually puts quite a lot of stress on your body, especially if you're doing long, rigorous workouts, more than three to four times a week, really. And I'm not saying for everybody that's going to be true, because it depends on how stressed you are. So if you're really stressed and you're doing a lot of long exercise sessions, then it's not going to be any good for you. It's just going to make things worse. And often when I'm working with my own PT clients and they're very stressed, I do assessments on them and find out that they're really stressed out, then I place more importance on the lifestyle plan and nutrition than actually doing the exercise to start with. The exercise sort of takes second place, really. Just really getting out and in the fresh air, going for a walk, stuff like that. You know, getting out and doing something that isn't too strenuous, isn't too long, but just so that you've got a bit of, you know, you've done a bit of exercise. And so, which is why I put exercise smart, because if you are aware that you're suffering from stress and it is causing you those problems, putting more stress on your body with exercise is not going to do you any good. So it's just all about listening to what you need, really. And sometimes it does you good just to have some time off of doing anything too much. We all like to do sort of really arduous workouts, but it doesn't always do the pain. Maybe you shouldn't have gone to the bar first. Okay, so this is the little diagram I was going to draw on the here, but I did it on the slide instead. So basically, stress is the master control system. So cortisol will control all the other hormones, which is why I'm just kind of recapping on it. So cortisol, if cortisol is raised, then so will insulin be raised, and so will estrogen. And estrogen can be quite dangerous in high levels, and also estrogen doesn't get processed. It will get processed by the liver, and because it doesn't get processed properly, it turns into the more dangerous form of estrogen, and then that recirculates through the body, and then the older the hormone gets, the more dangerous it becomes in terms of things like cancer and other diseases. So that's quite important to keep that one down. Ghrelin, which you probably haven't heard of, but I'm going to go over a little bit. And then thyroid. So if your thyroid level is down, obviously that's going to slow everything down, make you more fatigued, make you more sluggish, more prone to put on weight. Growth hormone, which is the one we want to be up to make us nice and lean, that's going to be down, as is testosterone and leptin as well. Leptin and ghrelin are to do with hunger and cravings. So ghrelin, if it's up, you feel more hungry, and if leptin, if it's down, you get more cravings. So. Okay, a little bit about the thyroid. This controls your metabolism, which is your body's ability to use energy efficiently. So you can understand if it's down, it's not using the energy efficiently. Underactive thyroid can lead to tiredness, lack of energy, hair loss, and the big one is that you'll gain weight and find it really hard to lose weight. Has anybody here got any thyroid problems? Yeah. On thyroxine,
No,
not.
my blood test to tell me that I am normal. And my argument is still with the doctor to try and say that I've got all the thyroid symptoms. And I've been treated for it still.
Okay. Well, hopefully.
One of the key ones is LP12 deficient, which I have been for 3 years, and it's one of the key thing.
So at the moment you're not on any drugs? Good. Okay, so how something like fluoride can affect your thyroid. Again, this is just my opinion, and it's based on research that I've read and research that I've done myself, courses that I've been to. So, you know, don't be offended by any of this. If people don't agree with me, it's all fine. It's obviously just where I've come from with it. But in your tap water, there's fluoride, and it's supposed to be there to build nice, strong teeth, which isn't very good. Basically what it does is it binds to the receptors on your thyroid and it dulls down the thyroid and stops it from functioning properly. So if you're drinking tap water and you're cleaning your teeth with fluorided toothpaste, you're using a fluorided mouthwash, and you're drinking tea, then you're not giving your thyroid a very good chance. So normal tea and green tea contain fluoride. So they're just best avoided, really. Any questions on that one? Because that one's always a little bit controversial.
Is the fluoride in toothpaste really enough to affect something?
Yeah, I mean, why would you worry? I mean, fluoride is poisonous, really. It's a toxin. Yeah, I don't use fluoride in toothpaste anymore.
Do any commercial toothpaste not contain it?
All the commercial toothpaste contain fluoride.
Yeah, so
it's really hard to find, but you can get them. I've got an aloe toothpaste, yeah. And the same with mouthwashes, you just have to be really careful with them. Why is it recommended by the dentist? Because they just, I don't know, to be honest. It's put into water. There was research done to say that it builds strong teeth. That's how it's. That's
Too much fluoride can cause damage as well. So children have actually got fluoride damage with their teeth because the area that I lived in at the time was a lot of fluoride content in their water.
I think
and they've got like white marks on their teeth, and I was told by the dentist it's because they've had too much fluoride.
Yeah.
So
I think that at the time there's kind of like this thing where it needs to go in the water to strengthen the teeth, but there's more research out there that says it does more damage than we know. We're about the only country. I know there's not many countries in Europe that have fluoride in their water. So it's just madness, really.
Is it one of those things that maybe we need a little bit, but we're
Yeah, possibly. No, it's not. No.
I'm just curious.
No, we don't need it, basically.
We just
no. Okay. So, how many people here have got silver fillings in their mouth? Still quite a few. So basically, all of your silver fillings contain mercury. And mercury is the second most deadly substance known to humans. Okay. So when mercury is taken out of your mouth, they have to be suited up, they have to have masks and everything, and then they have to get rid of it in a way that's, you know, completely safe. However, when it's in your mouth, it's all fine. It's all fine. It's all fine. So,
Are you being sarcastic?
yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they're basically
I couldn't quite tell.
yeah. In your fillings, you have mercury, which is then leaching into your body. So anybody that's got silver fillings, including myself, is giving themselves problems not only with their thyroid, but with lots of other things. So a normal filling is 50% mercury. Whether they told you it's silver or it's not got much mercury in it, it will be about 50% mercury. And as I said, mercury has been proven to leach from the fillings over the lifetime of the filling. And it has a tremendously detrimental effect upon the thyroid, and some believe it to be the cause of the epidemic of thyroid problems in countries that use mercury amalgam fillings. So my advice would be to get your fillings taken out and have non-mercury fillings. But there is obviously a certain protocol with that you wouldn't just go and have them all taken out. You need to actually find a dentist that will take them out properly. Rich has had his fillings taken out. So
6.
if anybody wants any information about that and how you go about it and what happens to you, you have to go through a slight detox beforehand.
Yeah, it's the detox after. It's the most important, but it's really important that you go and see a mercury-free dentist who knows what they're doing, because you can you can compound your problems really if you don't get them removed safely.
So this is a little chart which shows you what happens when you go on a diet. Moving away from the fillings, I'm just going to have some more time. So we've got a little bit of an understanding of what we want our hormones to be doing. So we want them to be quite balanced, quite nicely balanced. And as you can see, that when you go on a diet, you know, a normal, you know, I'm not talking about the type of healthy eating that I would follow, but just when you go on, say, one of your diets you've seen in a magazine, Slimming World, Weight Watchers, anything like that, you're putting stress on the body through what you're eating, and your cortisol goes up. Also does your ghrelin, which is going to make you more hungry. So this hormone here goes up as well. And we don't want this one to go up, we want this one to go down. And what will happen over a period of time with your thyroid is that will start to go down as well. So over a period of time, your thyroid metabolism slows down, which is why, to start with, you'll find that you'll lose weight and you'll have some success, but then you get to a point where that's not going to happen anymore, because all the hormones are working the wrong way around. So your cortisol will be raised, your hunger hormone will be raised, and this hormone here, down here, leptin, that causes cravings, initially it will be fine, but then eventually over time it's working against you, and so is your metabolism, because that's just going to slow. If that makes sense. So as I said, ghrelin is produced in the stomach, and it's known as the hunger hormone. So it's quite important, that one. And leptin is produced in the fat tissues, and it's the cravings hormone, and it also helps you to feel full up. So if it's too low, then it's not going to help you to feel full up. Just take the chocolate cake. So insulin controls the balance of your blood sugar levels, and it rises once you eat food, carbohydrates, and excess will often be stored as fat, because your bloodstream has its own natural level of sugar in it. And if it goes above that level, then insulin comes in to help out. So once you eat something, that's the way the insulin works. And it's often linked with diabetes and obesity, so raised insulin or insulin resistance. And it's also known as the aging hormone, so if you have too much insulin, you're going to age more quickly. I think lastly, moving on to estrogen. Very quickly through these, high levels of estrogen will cause weight gain around the hips, bottom, tops of the arms, your bingo wings, give you painful periods, hot flushes, PMT, and can lead on to things like, you know, much more serious diseases. So, before we break, has everyone understood what I've said? I've just run through the hormones for now. When we come back from the break, Tanith is going to talk to you a little bit more about the menopause, and then I'm going to just sum up what I've been talking about and hopefully give you some tips and tricks to help you with balancing your hormones. And at the end, we'll just have a little bit of question and answer. So if there's anything you've thought of while you've been sat there that you haven't asked me, then please feel free to ask. And I'm just going to show you some of the amazing results that we've had by using some of the advice I'm going to give you. That'll just be a few slides at the end. So if you'd like teas and coffees, there isn't coffee, sorry, herbal tea, and that's in what I preach. And also there's some lovely treat cakes over there, which are really nice and clean. They've got no sugar or nice cake.
So my name is Tanith Lee, also known as Mrs. Menopause, which is a title that most people probably don't really want to wear, I've got to say, but I'm really proud of it. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story and how I come about to be known as Mrs. Menopause, and then I'm going to hopefully give you some facts about the menopause, what to expect, what it's all about, give you some ideas how to overcome some of the symptoms, and give you some solutions as well, and then we'll have a little talk at the end about it as well. So I'm in the fitness industry. I've been in it a little while, and a couple of years ago I started, my period stopped basically. I'm going to go into a bit, I don't mind talking about this. I had the core removed. I had one period and my period stopped dead. When about 6 months of that period I thought I'd better go and have a look, and this looked at. Suffered awfully emotionally, roller coaster emotions, you know, like PMS on steroids. And I was suffering quite a lot, so I went to the doctor, I had blood tests, and the results come back as I had early menopause. I was 38. So it was a little bit of a shock to the system. The GP told me, who I saw at the time, wasn't my GP, a GP I saw, told me that basically go to Holland & Barrett, get some supplements and you'll be fine. Great. So I decided to look into this a bit deeper, and you know, because I'm interested in nutrition and health and wellness, I thought, okay, I'll start doing some research. So I started to research for myself, to help myself. And I went on researching and got more and more interest. I went on a form of HRT, bioidentical hormone therapy, and if anybody's heard of that at all. It's a hormone therapy, and all it's a natural form of hormones, basically. I was on that for about 8 months, and I did that with a GP who I was blessed to meet. She's a GP nutritionist and she does bioidentical, so she was brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and I was carefully monitored and I was getting brilliant results, feeling better, better mood, feeling much better. But then I had the test results showed my estrogen levels were through the roof, massive alarm bells going, and I had to back off taking absolutely any of the hormones, because high estrogen can be a precursor to some of the cancers, so I had to back everything off. And that was this time last year, actually. I had to stop everything. So I stopped everything, and I've been hormone-free this year, slightly, because the GP said, look, I don't know what to do with you now. Right? So she's tried to refer me. So I've been in the NHS system. I've been to see a consultant, and I went and saw him a couple of times, more blood tests, and then the latest thing he told me was basically, I've got the new research is I've got to go on the oral contraception pill. So I was like, oh, okay, that's a bit of a shock, wasn't expecting that. And I've been fighting it, to be honest, for a little while. I haven't actually gone on it yet. It's at home, sat on the side, like looking at me. And I've just got to get my head around it. It's another form for me of HRT, you know, and that's what I'm probably going to do. So I'm still not 100% convinced. I've tried everything nutritionally wise, and that's kind of where I am at the moment with everything. I'm pretty open about the menopause. I love talking about it. I'm really passionate about it. And it seems like many other people are as well. So I've kind of gone on to talk to women, help women through the menopause, perimenopause and menopause. And I've also helped my peers as well, so other fitness professionals help their clients. So it's brilliant. So that's kind of a bit about me and where I am and kind of where I've come from. So hopefully I'm going to go through this evening what is the menopause, how it can affect us, and what we can do to help. Sounds really easy like that, doesn't it? So, not very good at image, but itchy, sweaty, sleepy, bloated, forgetful, all dried up. It's not painting a really positive picture, really, of the menopause, is it? And I don't know about you guys, but have we got a bit of it, when we say menopause, and most people think of it in quite a negative way, am I right? Most people think, well, actually quite dread it, think it's going to be the end, you know, start getting older, and, you know, we're going to be relegated to the side. And my mission is to actually turn that around, because that's not the case at all. But I just thought I'd put that into it. So this is a bit wordy. Okay, I'll read it out to you. So it says, the menopause marks the time in a woman's life when her menstruation stops and she's no longer fertile. Okay, so in the UK the average age is 52 for menopause, and that is just an average. The menopause is a normal part of life. It's a milestone, just like puberty. It's not a disease or a condition, even though it is the time the woman's last period symptoms may begin many years earlier. Some women may experience symptoms for months or years afterwards. So it's not a medical condition. You know, it's just part of life. You know, it's something we do, and it's not a medical condition. That's not somehow doctors want to treat it, but that's what it is. It's just part of us, our journey as a woman. So the perimenopause, can you see? Right. The perimenopause is it says 3 to 5 year period before the menopause. It can be anything from 2 to 8 years. You know, there's no one set of rules of menopause for everyone. So the menopause is your last period, is when it stops. Okay, and then we've got, so I've got perimenopause is when it's before when the estrogen levels start to drop. So menopause itself is something you know you've gone through retrospectively. You don't know you've gone because it's your last period. And they say you have a year free, a period free, of a whole year free of periods, and that's then you know you've been through the menopause. So you can't, it's very hard to say, no, you can't say, oh, well, I've been through the menopause until you've been a year without, if that makes sense. That makes sense? So, you know, and what women find that they'll go a few months without a period and think, oh, okay, menopause, and then suddenly a period out of nowhere. So there's no hard and fast rules when it comes to menopause. Okay, so perimenopause, so this is the period running up to your last periods, which can, as I said, it can start from anywhere from 2 to 8 years beforehand. These are the things that these are just very little snapshot of some of the things that can happen, most common ones. Irregular periods, change in the flow of the periods, so lighter, heavier is quite common. Mood changes, sore breasts, low fertility. I painted a really good picture of this so far. So this is some of the stuff there's many more symptoms. Early menopause. So early menopause is what happened to me is ovarian failure, because it's before the age of 40, which sounds awful, doesn't it? It sounds horrendous. But premature menopause is defined when you have the last period before the age of 45, which seems to be more and more common these days. Whether that's because we've got more research on it, or whether it's to do with our lifestyle, or a bit of both, you know, I'm not quite sure. So early menopause can also be caused by surgery, so hysterectomies and that kind of thing, and sometimes cancer treatments that can also bring people into an early menopause. And that's quite severe as well, because you don't have the gradual tapering off, you just bam, you're in there, and that can be quite distressing. Lifestyle does play a big role in early menopause as well, and sometimes it's just not known. I want a t-shirt. So, hormones, basically. So, the stuff I'm going to cover is, obviously I'm going to lap over what Nikki's gone through because it's the same kind of thing, but I'm really going to try to stick to more kind of menopause and give you some solutions as well, and kind of what happens with this. So, these are the kind of things that can happen. Right, I'm not saying it's a checklist and that, you know, it's going to happen to you. Some women sail through the menopause. It doesn't have to happen like this to everyone. It's only in the Western world that we actually have the menopause, really. You know, in other parts of the world, so they don't even have a name for the menopause. You know, it's not. It's only because of our lifestyle, I believe, that we have all these symptoms and we have all this disruption. But it's all fixable, which is good. So weight gain, which is kind of what I'm here about, body shape change, apple shape, belly fat, hot flushes, night sweats, dry skin, joint pain, bloating, vaginal dryness, atrophy, one that no one wants to talk about, but really important and, you know, can affect women quite a lot. Facial hair and hair loss. Menopause, we get the kind of strange sprouty things happening. Chin usually. Sleep, tiredness, I've got memory loss. Oh God, I suffer with that terribly. And obviously aging. So that's kind of what happened. There's more I'm sure you can add to this.
This is such fun.
It's brilliant, isn't it? It's brilliant. So physical, night flush. You've got night sweats and hot flushes. I'm not going to read all that out because it's just, you know. Basically, the hot flushes are to do with our hypothalamus in the brain working overtime. That's what that means. I'm not going to read it out. And it says here, hot flashes are a common symptom of menopause and perimenopause. Typically experience the feeling of intense heat, sweating, rapid heart rate, and may last from 2 minutes to 30 minutes. Does anybody have hot flushes? Anybody else? Oh, look at that! flushes, but they're not really bad. I know some people get them really bad. I have been blessed and they're not really, really bad. I have really suffered with night sweats, and I started suffering those probably in my early to mid-30s. But at the time I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I didn't think in my 30s I was going through the menopause. I didn't know. So, you know, I know, and I kind of know what it's like, but I know some women at night especially, they have to, you know, clothes come off and have to change, you know, change the bedding, and that interrupts the sleep, and we know what that can do to our stress levels. So, more good news. It's brilliant, isn't it? I mean, depression, loss of low libido. Actually, that's a bit of a fallacy, and we'll talk about that. Okay. Irritability,
He's an irritating bastard.
What was that?
Don't know libido, he's an irritating bastard.
I'm not sure we can do about that. We're not going to mind something. Mood swings. I put morning there because it's kind of it can be quite an emotive time in our lives, kind of because we're getting older. We know we're not childbearing years anymore. Kids can be leaving home, all that kind of stuff. Yay! This just seems, this libido thing. I've been reading more. It doesn't necessarily have to be the case. Got a really good book here that would
50 Shades of Grey.
I recommend you. Yeah, or 50 Shades of Grey. This is a really good book to read about having sex when you're older. It's enlightening. Okay, some of the health things as well. What can happen as we get older? So we've got bone health, which we know about, osteoporosis, heart health, and breast, like cancer and that kind of stuff. So these are things that we need to be aware of as we're older. So bone health. Low estrogen can cause osteoporosis, so this is why hormones, early menopause hormone replacement can be the way forward to help with bone health, but there are ways of helping our bones. So, if anyone is going through menopause or has gone through early menopause, have a DEXA scan, which is a bone density scan. They put down there, they test certain parts of the body, or the skeleton, to see how dense your bone is, to check for signs of osteoporosis. Lack of estrogen makes the bones weaker, so this is why older women are more susceptible to that. Magnesium is essential for bone health, so these are the kind of foods you can get magnesium in. I didn't put vitamin D in, but vitamin D also is really important, and calcium. Now the thing with calcium is to take it with other supplements. Calcium by itself is quite rigid, it can actually make your bones quite brittle. So it needs to be taken in with another form of supplements as well. Still good news, isn't it? So as we get older, so you know, these are some of the risks that can happen with the heart as well. We can be more prone to heart attack and stroke as we get older. And thickening of the arterial wall as well, caused by high sugar levels, trans fat, emotional stress, and deficiencies.
Really do that.
And also, we also get breast pain. I've put in the HRT with a question mark, because I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on. So, weight gain.
And a beard.
Your body naturally is going to put on weight when you go through menopause. We generally can't avoid it. Okay? So it can be from 6 to 7 pounds, maybe, because what happens is you're actually, your body, when your ovaries stop producing estrogen, your fat cells actually produce a form of estrogen, which is called estrone. So your body is actually very clever. It's actually trying to keep your estrogen levels higher. And it's doing that, and it has to do it by keeping your fat levels up. Bummer, right? But, so we have to fight against our body's natural defence systems. But it's not impossible at all, and it's definitely not an excuse to have to put on weight on. It's just got to be a little bit clever about it. Also, when we've got the fluctuating hormone levels, we've got our mood swings, which causes cravings. If anybody here is an emotional eater or a comfort eater, you know, that can have another impact onto your weight gain. So the thing, basically cleaning up your nutrition, it's kind of what Nikki was talking about as well, just cleaning up our nutrition. Unfortunately, ladies, alcohol and caffeine make hot flushes worse. You know, try and eliminate it and then bring it back in if you do suffer hot flashes, because you can probably see what your trigger is. It doesn't happen to everyone, but it's worth getting to know your bodies to see what it does do. Yeah, so caffeine and alcohol. I'm not saying totally stop it, but if you can reduce it, reduce it. Learn to love beans and legumes. These you've got your phytoestrogens in, which are produced in foods which kind of mimic your natural estrogens. Drink water, keep hydrated. I was going to say lubricated, that's probably not the right. If your hormones your body needs to be hydrated to allow your body to hormones to signal to each other efficiently. So if dehydrated, the message is almost like it's a stagnant, they can't get around properly. So keep hydrated. Up your fibre, because we get rid of excess hormones through our bowel. So you need to keep up with your fibre. And loads of vegetables. You know, I try and concentrate more on what to add to your diet rather than telling people what you can't have, because, you know, there's nothing more depressing, is there, than someone saying, don't have that, don't have that, don't have that. And, you know, think about what you can add into your nutrition to make yourself feel better. Now, exercise with menopause, kind of Nikki was saying about overtraining, and that's kind of come back to menopause, because we're trying to reduce the amount of stress your body's under. If you can imagine how much your body's under a lot of stress with all these hormonal changes, quite a lot of stress, and we know what that does to our cortisol levels and everything else. So daily walking for me has been a godsend personally. It gets me out. I work from home, so it gets me out of the house. It gets me outside in the sunshine, daylight possibly, which helps in the summer particularly get our vitamin D levels up, which is really important for our mood and it's really important for our bone health. It also is very, very good for reducing our stress levels, which will have a big impact on your mood. Same kind of thing with yoga and Pilates type kind of classes as well. So it's a good idea to get a really good balance. High intensity interval training is really good, like 30-minute workouts, shorter workouts, really good, less stressful for the body. So we're looking at ways of reducing the stress in your body, because again it will have a massive impact on your symptoms. And resistance training as well. Same resistance training, you need that in there to help with your bone health. And also it's the thing that's going to really help with this weight gain as well, to keep your lean muscle on your body. So this is kind of what I recommend for menopausal women in the run-up as well. There's so much research to say that if you help yourself in the run-up, so like before, like when you get to the perimenopause, your symptoms can be so much better, so much lessened. They don't have to be that huge list I put up at the beginning. They don't have to be at all. You know, it's just about our bodies giving us probably clues, isn't it, when we're having these symptoms, to look after ourselves. You know, it's up to us to look after ourselves. You know, if we don't look after ourselves and we're having lots of caffeine and we're eating processed food and we smoke, you know, and all these things, our body's going to not like it, and it's going to give us the signals, and you are going to get worse symptoms of the menopause. Which brings me to this. Reduce stress. And as Nikki was saying, you know, stress is at us constantly from all different angles. Now, people, you know, if you think back to probably the 20s and 30s, how different a woman's life was, much less stressful. We didn't have social media, we didn't have, you know, TV, we were all, you know, at home looking after the children. That's all it was about. That's, you know, it probably was stressful in different ways, but not the bombardment we have constantly now. We're under so much more stress, so much more pressure, and it really does have a massive impact. So I've had that, and I put in there have fun, because sometimes it's quite easy to forget to do that in our busy lives, especially if you're feeling rubbish. And have a gratitude list. That is a really big one, that really does help. And some self-development. Let's be responsible for our own health. Let's be responsible. You know, our symptoms of perimenopause and menopause don't have to be that way. There are lots of things we can do, all that stuff I was talking about. We really can make a difference. So So this is some of the foods that anti-aging, that can help with menopause as well. So I've just gone first. We've got the berries, antioxidants. I've got oily fish. You've got all these lovely things here that will really make a difference. And it's just incorporating these into your diet. So rather than think about having to exclude stuff, which makes most people think, oh, God, poor me, what's the point? Think about what you can add in, because the more you add in, the better you're going to feel, and the more likely is you're not actually going to want to have the sugar, the carbs, the quick fixes to make us feel better. Because when we're tired, we want that instant gratification, we want those instant lifts, and that's what we reach for, generally. In my experience, that's what my clients have. There are many, many supplements out there that are supposed to be the cure for menopause, okay? The thing with supplements is, especially with these herbs, I would not recommend going down to your local Holland and Barrett and just grabbing all these and taking them and thinking, brilliant. Because they work synergistically with each other. I would recommend going to see a nutritionist or a herbalist who will be able to assess you, and they'll be able to. Some of these are really, really good as well, really powerful. Black cohosh, there's some medications that you can't actually take that with. It just shows you how powerful some of these herbs are, and they're not to be messed with. So I would definitely, if you want to go down that route and you can get some good results, just go and see a herbalist, get some advice, because we're not qualified for that. I'm certainly not qualified to advise people which ones to take. Have I spelled that wrong? Is it So maca powder is really good as well. There's a lot of research on that. That isn't by means, the definitive list of supplements, but the research I've done, these are the ones that seem to have the best results. And there's quite a lot of research as well on some of these. If you're going to get the ginseng, make sure it's Siberian, not Asian. Big difference between them. Siberian ginseng, what it can do is it can help lift up your energy levels without giving you the wired feel, as you get from caffeine. So it lifts up the energy levels, but in a much gentler way, much more in synergy with your body. So it's a really good herb to take. Again, you want to look at kind of the quantities. In tinctures, they're pretty good to take as well. You can get them in teas. Licorice should be in there as well, actually. Licorice is a really good tea to take. So there's lots of things we can do naturally to help our bodies, support our bodies through this time. And just think, it's only in the Western world that we suffer with these symptoms. So if you think about that, what that means, it's our lifestyle, isn't it? It's got to be down to our lifestyle, what we're doing. And we do have a choice in all that. I've got some of the supplements you can take and some recommended dosages for these ones. I've taken these out of. Has anyone heard of Marion Glenville? Marion Glenville at all? She's I've got a couple of books there. She's got one of these ones. She's got a few books out. Now I would recommend this one if anyone wants to follow up. She's much more pro natural route rather than HRT. Yeah, Marilyn Glenville. So you can go onto her website. She's got a couple of books out. She's got a book called Fat Around the Middle, which is a really good book, really, really interesting. So I definitely recommend further reading them. And these are what she recommends. So HRT or not, quite a controversial subject. 10 years ago there was a lot of research on HRT, which was saying you shouldn't be on it. It causes breast cancer. It causes all these things. Recently, literally this year, they've researched it a little bit more, and they're actually winding that back a little bit, and they've given us a little bit more detail. If anybody wants to know more about that, I can tell you more about that afterwards. I used to be very, very much not anti-HRT. I wanted to do the whole thing naturally. And ideally, that's what we should be able to do, but that's not always the case. And some people really, really suffer, women suffer with the menopause, really suffer with the symptoms. And if they need a bit of extra help, then, so be it. It's a very individual journey. Every woman goes through it in such a different way, and I think that's how you need to view it. Sometimes we need to have HRT. Bioidenticals is a better way of doing it, because it's more natural. Of course, it's much more expensive. You don't get it on the NHS, that's the thing with it. I'm not going to stand up here and say, oh no, you shouldn't go on HRT. I think it's up to the individual, and I think we should all be able to research it and just see what works best for us. Post-menopause. Rest of my life, yay! So if you think about it, if we're going through the menopause at 50, average, we've got, what, 34 years left of our life? So it's not the end, right? It's just another stage, I think, of life. It's just another stage. And if anything, it can be a better stage, in my opinion, because you know yourself much better. You're much more empowered. If you've had children, they're not, you know, they've grown up, maybe they've left the home. You know, this is time for you. It's time for women to be empowered. In parts of the world, you know, think about the wise women. You know, it's actually a privilege, it's an honour when we get to a certain age. So for me, it's really putting the menopause actually in a positive light. It doesn't have to be the end. Yes, we get older. Yes, we might like what we see sometimes or how we feel, but let's turn that around. Let's actually start thinking actually it can be the positive stage in our life. Because if we think to ourselves, oh, you know, it's this, it's that, you know, when I was reading off that list, we were all like, oh God, really? But it doesn't have to be like, yeah, you might be suffering with symptoms, yes, yeah, you know, I understand that, but once you go through that perimenopause, it's not going to be like that forever. Once your body's adjusted to those new hormone levels, you know, if you're with a partner, you haven't got to worry about getting pregnant, you haven't got to worry about periods anymore, you don't get PMS anymore. You know, for me, that's like a few positives already, isn't it? You know, so trying to, you know, the more we think about how something's negative, I think the more we're going to think it's negative. So I really want to try and paint it in a bit more of a positive picture. So this is what I think with, you know, what I want to get across the menopause. There's a couple of websites if you're interested. I'm going to send you, if you want some information, I've got a list here, you can give me emails, I can send you a load of information. That's me, clearly on top there. Sydney Hormones is a friend of mine, she's got a brilliant website. The Daisy Network is a charity-based company for people who go through early menopause. So if anybody here has suffered that, or you know anybody else, it's a brilliant charity. I work with them. I've got loads of information on there. And this is the British Menopause Society. They also have lots of really interesting information. I've got a couple of books up here that if you want to have a quick look at, which I've found really useful for me, you know, nice and easy to read, got lots of things you can put into practice quite quickly. So I put up there, embrace it, you know, as much as I was painting that picture at the beginning, it doesn't have to be that bad, but I think the thing is having that awareness, isn't it? Having awareness of our body, listening, being more in tune with our body, and actually listening to it, because it gives us lots of signals that I think we all kind of ignore a lot of the time. So if we listen to our body and start to make small changes, you're going to see big differences in how you feel. I think that might be it. I think that's it. Thank you.
Yes, it's me. We're going to do kind of question and answers for both of us at the end. So if you've got questions for Tanith as well, then we'll do it all at the end. That's all right.
Be back on. Bettina, come a bit of cake now.
Okay, so how are we all feeling about that?
Stressed.
Yeah. Oh no, not stressed. So I'm just going to kind of sum up what I spoke to you about earlier on. The main hormone that we need to control really is cortisol. It's very important. That's what causes our stress. So it's really important to get that down, and that will create much more of a balance throughout all of the hormones. Your body will naturally want to balance itself, so that's the good news. You've just got to try and put things into place to try and help that out. You need to minimise the stress in the daily things that you can control, such as what you eat and how you exercise, and that's probably the best way to start. So there's lots of factors out there that you can't control. Well, you can't leave well, you could leave your job, you could do lots of things to get rid of the stress, but then it might make more stress because you haven't got your money to pay a mortgage. So just start with the things that you can control, really. So best way to start really is looking at your nutrition, things that you can add in that are going to be more healthy for you, better options, maybe taking some things out but replacing them with other things as well, and then thinking about how you exercise, a more effective way of doing things so that it's not so stressful on the system. Getting out there, having some fun, we've covered this. Tanith talked about this as well, getting out there and just enjoying yourself. So just a little bit on, I know that there's lots of talk around about, oh, I'm genetically like this, you know, I carry the weight in the middle, but there is actually a reason why we carry weight in different, we store fat in different sites in our body. So it's just a little quick summary of how does this relate to your body shape. So if you tend to carry your weight here, these are estrogen storage sites. So this is where the excess of estrogen is being stored on your body. So that obviously shows that you've got your estrogen is imbalanced. They're producing too much estrogen and it's having to go somewhere. Apple shape, when you've got nice slim legs and a rounded tummy, tends to be insulin and also stress hormone. So if you carry the fat around that area, that tends to be why. And again, tops of the arms tends to be high estrogen, low testosterone. So it's not really relevant to say it's sort of something that runs in the family and it's genetic. And it tends to run in the family in the fact that you follow the same eating habits usually as your parents. So the way you're brought up tends to mean that that's the kind of things that you eat and the way that you eat and the way that you are, really. So from that respect it does, because you're following those same patterns. Okay. So looking at adding into your diet, vegetables, lots and lots of vegetables for fibre, which will help process through the hormones. Fish, meat, poultry, fruit, good fats, and eggs, good fats, things like coconut oil, olive oil, avocado oil. Avocados are very good as well. High in fat, yes, but it's a good fat. So anybody that's sort of worrying about fat content of things, it's only really sort of fats on meats that you have to worry about, really, because that's kind of where the animal stores its toxins as well. So when you're looking at meat that is organic, and obviously vegetable fats are not good. So when you're cooking, you need to be cooking in coconut oil, really, or butter. Butter's good. Drinking lots of clean water. We talked about fluoride, so bottled water is a good alternative, or filtered water. And keep it simple. Do something small. Start with something small. So if you really like caffeine, you like coffee, and you drink a lot of it, then it's not going to be great to just suddenly come off of it, because you'll get lots of side effects from that. So it's just a case with your nutrition to do things gradually and add things in, and then what you'll find is you'll just naturally take things out, like sugar and wheat and things that cause you problems. We'll go through a little list. So if you can, avoid these things. What you'll find with things like processed food, we talked about that, it's anything that's not from its natural state, really, and it will have been messed about with. So anything that's got a really long shelf life, really, you want to be eating lots of fresh fruit and vegetables, ideally. Sugars, that cause your insulin levels to go up. Alcohol, again, it's a toxin in the liver. Dairy, tap water, and wheat and gluten. I like my little cute Chrissy cat. Important factors that affect sleep, obviously cortisol. If you're stressed out in the evening, then it's hard to sleep. So your stimulants can come from things like caffeine, they can come from TV, they can come from an argument, they can come from just not being able to switch off, so being on a computer late at night and being on Facebook. I can't sleep. I wonder why. On your phone. Nutrition obviously will affect your sleep, knowing sort of what to eat and when to eat it, really. Type of exercise, so not doing a really rigorous workout before you go to bed. And obviously if you're on a shift, then shift patterns are going to affect how you sleep. So, improving your sleep. Improving your sleep will be one real stress reliever. Liz, you awake? Yawning your head off. So again, like I said, start when I put on there 30 minutes earlier than normal, but if you can't do that, just 10 minutes a night for a week. will make such a difference. So if you're going to bed like 11, half 11, just cutting that 10 minutes off and making sure that you get done what you need to get done and you're in bed 10 minutes earlier. The same with things like chamomile and tulsi tea, drinking them about an hour before bed. It's going to help to relax you. I haven't done an awful lot on supplements on here because I think that it's very important for you to get what's going around in your body right first before you start adding the supplements. As Tana said, it's very easy just to go, you want a magic pill, you want something that's going to help you sleep. The thing is that something like a magnesium or a zinc supplement's not going to work particularly well if your nutrition isn't good, because it just doesn't get absorbed in the same way. It won't get absorbed into the body, it hasn't got the correct sort of biological soup in order to take it in. So although magnesium and zinc do work really well, they will help you with your sleep. If you take them an hour before bedtime, I'd be looking at your nutrition first, really. That's going to be your first port call. Get that a little bit better, and then you can start adding supplements in. You want a really good quality magnesium and zinc as well. You don't want to go for an oxide. You want to go for a citrate, or anything with 8 at the end of it, because the oxide just won't be absorbed in the body in the same way. It won't get used, so you'll just be peeling it out. And create a relaxed environment. Dim lighting, get all electronic devices out of the room because that's a stimulus. Don't watch TV in bed before you go to bed. Just create a chilled out environment, read something nice and light, not really scary, a horror book just before you go to bed, not great. And that's it. So, any questions, guys? There must be some questions out there for either myself or Tana.
Lectin. Just though it's low, it affects your cravings.
Yes.
Where can you get it? Where does it occur naturally?
Leptin is from your fat cells. It's produced from your fat cells.
Right, so you can't take, there's no source of it?
No, it's basically, with all of the hormones, with something like leptin, you're much better off trying to get your stress level, your cortisol level down.
And then that will
And then
affect
everything
it.
else
Right,
kind of
yeah.
comes into play, really. And it can be just down to, craving sugar, stuff like that, it can be down to leptin. So, it's a case of kind of trying to wean yourself off of things, replacing it with things that make you feel more full up, like protein with every meal, really. Coconut oil is very, very good for helping you to feel full up. Coconut oil you should be using every day, really. That's very good for balancing hormones, it's really good for your skin, it's really good for your hair. So, I get through tubs and tubs of it a week. I cook all of those cakes are made with coconut oil. And coconut oil will really help with cravings. So. I get it from, actually she's not here tonight, but the fitness camps that I run, there's a girl there that's partner has got a South Sea health food shop. The best make I've found for taste, because I eat it out of the jar on a spoon, is Biona Organic, and they do coconut milk as well. That will help with the hormones. I'm going to give you a handout sheet which will give you like 10 top tips, talk about some of the supplements as well. Again, like I say with the supplements, you're much better off looking at your diet, looking at what you're eating before you start introducing too many supplements. And then just be very careful where you get them from, because Holland & Barrett isn't always the best supplier, really. You need to be looking at it being a good source. If it's on 2 for 1 and it's cheap, then it's probably not very good for you. So, yeah, coconut oil is a really good one.
Well, you talk about fruit, but then some of the fruits can be high in sugar, so there are certain fruits you shouldn't be eating? Or
Yeah, not that you, it's the same with anything. I wouldn't exclude a range of food from your diet, especially with something like fruit. It's just that if you've got a sensitivity to insulin, it can cause more fat around the tummy. So if you know that that's your body shape, then really you should be looking to minimise your fruit, really. And it will stop you from getting so many of the cravings, because it won't raise your blood sugar.
Tropical fruits, isn't it? It's like
really high sugar fruits that are really sweet, they're not so good. It's
berries
more
and apples.
berries, apples, pears, that sort of thing. So often, like first thing in the morning, you can snooke yourself because you can have a banana and a yogurt. But and that'll be someone's breakfast, and then that's set yourself up for cravings and sugar crashes and all sorts throughout the day.
what would you suggest as a good breakfast?
Come on, Emma, where's your question? Emma's got a question for you.
Oh, I've got a
me.
question, yes. Okay, so I'm having a synthetic menopause at the moment for medical reasons.
Right.
So should I treat that as, you've just been discussing up there, as a regular menopause, or do anything different?
I would do, you know, I would do everything, yeah. It's not going to do any harm.
Okay.
It's going to make you feel better in the long run.
Yeah.
What do you mean by synthetic?
I've got, what have I got? Everything. Fibroids and cysts on my ovaries and all sorts of other things. And I've had them removed, but
Right.
now they want to do further treatment and have given me Zoldex for 3 months.
So are they going to put you on hormone? Are they going to put you on?
Yeah, they've already done it.
They've already done it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're doing that, but then the same, just be aware of the supplements. There's certain supplements you shouldn't take.
Yeah, I've looked.
Yeah, with taking it because they are really strong. But yeah, everything we spoke about and the pair of us spoke about, all have a positive effect on your hormones. You know, if you take hormone therapy, that's cool. Just be careful with the supplements.
It might sound a bit of a stupid question, it probably is, but
No question is a stupid
you were saying, Nikki, you were saying about green tea to avoid because of fluoride and stuff, and yet Tana said green tea. So,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? People say, don't drink that.
Green tea. Well, natural green tea.
Yeah.
There you go.
What about matcha though?
We'll sort it out afterwards. don't we?
I'm going to look at that. I'm going to look at that because I was wondering about that because I take matcha. I like it. Me too. Matcha is it's a form of powdered green tea, but it's got gazillions more antioxidants in it than just drinking it. Yeah, that's a good word, isn't it? I can't tell you how many more gazillions, but quite a lot more than normal green tea. And it gives you, it's sort of like a natural lift of the mood, gives you a bit more energy.
So what?
Okay, I've got handout.
If anybody wants to know any more information about the menopause or anything, I've got a list at the front. You can just pop your name and email address on. I can send you all the information about tonight and any other bits and pieces. I've got fact sheets and stuff I can send out for you guys. I'll be printing it all out for you today. So just pop your details on.
So yes. Dairy. It's just because dairy, milk, any milk product tends to cause inflammation in the body. And there's lots of research around milk products that cause asthma and all sorts of problems. And even if you don't have asthma, it could just be that you have weight gain from it.
So you're on the diet,
So if you have asthma, yogurt is not an ideal thing to have.
Nut dairy is not very good.
Eczema.
Soy yogurt?
No, I wouldn't go for soy, personally.
Goat's milk?
Slightly better.
Slightly better, yeah. It's kind
There's so much research about soy. The trouble is with soy, it's one of the most over-processed products in the world. So, you know, and it's full of chemicals. That's the thing with soy. So you've got to be really careful.
one of those sprayed crops.
Yeah, one of the most. Yeah, soy, yeah. There's certain types of soy, you know, there's fermented soy and stuff you can have, and I've never said, what's it called, beans?
Oh, the
They're good.
What about almond milk?
Nut milks, I think.
I think, yeah, I'd say look at just wherever the source is from. I mean, I find a lot of those sort of Tetra Pak type milks, they've got sweeteners and stuff.
Yeah, they're loaded with the ingredients.
So what's the ideal thing that you'd recommend for breakfast?
Yeah, so
Eggs and veg, green smoothie. Yeah.
Yes, smoothies are really good.
Smoked salmon and veg salad. And also with breakfast, it is, we kind of get drummed into this breakfast at a certain time, lunch at a certain time, evening meal at a certain time, but it is kind of listening to your body. And once you get into a routine of eating the right food, you'll find you'll break that habit of needing to have breakfast at Z o'clock, whatever it is, you just, I mean, I just find sometimes I'm just not hungry. If I get, the trouble with your body is it's very clever. The signals that you have for thirst are the same as hunger. So you might get up and think, oh, I'm really hungry, but if you just have some water and then let it settle, you'll probably find you actually just dehydrated overnight because you haven't drunk. You've slept all that time and you're dehydrated. And possibly you're not drinking enough water during the day anyway on its own. So you're dehydrated during the day, you go to sleep, you wake up in the morning and then you feel hungry in the morning, but it's not, it's just you're dehydrated, and what your body's saying is, I need some fluids here. So then you have your breakfast at X time that you always have it, and you never kind of break that cycle. But once you start listening to yourself a bit more, have some water, maybe then you are still hungry, maybe you are still hungry and you do need your breakfast. But I'm just saying from my own personal experience, I find I don't need breakfast till much later on in the day. And it is breaking that fast, it is giving your body what it needs. You don't necessarily need to do that. I mean, I know everybody has to go to work and stuff, so you can't start such as, excuse me, just some scrambled eggs in the kitchen at 10:30. You can't do that, but so it's got to work around you. I'm lucky that I work either end of the day mostly, so I can kind of, I'm at home on the computer most of the day, so I can work my food around when I'm hungry. That's how I eat, and sometimes I just eat 2 meals a day. But you know, it's just that's what you need, and it's not because I'm trying to diet. It's just listening to your.
Is it true that when your cortisol levels are going up as you're waking up, you shouldn't? Generally, actually eating late your breakfast actually later in the day is actually better for you. Is that true? Yeah.
Yeah. Because when it's kind of at its height, you don't like when it's sort of starting to climb, you don't necessarily need to be having breakfast. And like I say, a lot of the time with most people, it is just a case of dehydration because we're not taking in enough fluids. And every cell in your body needs the fluid.
It's really hard to break habits of
drums. Absolutely.
Skip meals.
Best thing to do probably is to do it like on a day when you know you can do that. So like say if you're not working on a Saturday, then you can it's all right to do that, and then you can gradually introduce it as and where it fits really.
So it's not.
And it will be individual. It might work for me.
The theory behind eating all day, like nibbling off make sure you have breakfast, it doesn't necessarily going to be the most suitable for weight loss. Just eating the right things.
If you have the right food in a meal, you won't then need to 2 hours later be having a packet of nuts and seeds or dried fruit or whatever it is.
Nick, can I answer that as well?
Yeah.
Where did you get that idea from about 2 meals? That's quite interesting because...
Oh no, just little off and a regular...
No, the 2 meal thing, not having breakfast because it raises your cortisol.
Oh, my friend's doing a Daxmoy.
Tanith and I were both at Daxmoy hormones course recently. And that's one of the things that came out of it,
she's doing it and she said that
it's kind of like his latest recommended research, and that's kind of what he's using with his clients now and having fantastic results. And although for some people that would be really difficult to do, actually breakfast can be a bit of a pain in the arse for some people as well, because it's the point in the day where they're most busy, especially if you've got kids and stuff and you've got to get to work, and having to prepare breakfast. And it's also the time where you tend to eat the worst food as well, because you want to get something on the go. So it tends to be cereals and toast and all the things that really aren't very good for losing weight. So, I mean, what I would advise any of you to do is just give it a try, and actually think about, like Nikki said, think about drinking some water in the morning. Are you really hungry? And if you can get through to you're at work and you can eat around about 12 or something like that, then, give it a try and see how you feel. And what you find is if you eat at 12, then you're only going to have one more meal. So actually, although there isn't a great correlation between calories in, calories out in fat loss, you'll actually be reducing the amount of calories as well. So you're reducing your cortisol too, because you're not eating as often. So there are lots of beneficial effects. But it's a question of just, opening your mind a little bit and just giving it a try and see what it's like.
Which is kind of why I said, if you've got one day a week when you can try that, then it's an interesting experiment, really.
I find it really easy to eat really clean, like at lunch and evening. I love it, but I find it in the morning. I've always had this thing in my head that I've got to have my breakfast before I leave the house. It's the one time I don't follow that kind of diet, so I'll always grab a bowl of cereal quickly.
I've got to say, it's the one meal that, whenever I work with clients, it's, what do I have for breakfast? It's the one thing people seem to get stressed over.
Yeah.
And we're talking about reducing stress, and if we can, you know...
But it's the one meal that's the most important meal, really, because if you get it wrong, then the whole day will just be... You'll just crave the wrong things.
I had breakfast or lunch, I might have a meal in the evening, and someone said to me, well, that's the wrong thing to do because you're not having enough intake that can cause fat, you know, for you to gain weight.
I think you just have to listen to your body.
We're all different, right?
Yeah,
I think we're all so different.
I think there's no wrong and right for, which is what I'm saying, you know, that's why diets are wrong, really, because they're giving you a solid thing to follow. You know, they're saying to you, you've got to have that many calories, that many points.
It's a lifestyle change, is what you've got to look at.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
really.
it's got to be a total lifestyle change rather than just it as being a diet.
Yeah,
as soon as you get your ideal weight, you think, oh, I can have that bag of crisps.
Yeah, no, that's it. And you should be able to do that on odd occasion, but just not make it, you know, all the time.
I think once you start eating really well, and you start feeling really good, it's quite hard to go back all the way to going back to older habits as well. You might kind of, I know my journey's been a bit slipping and sliding, but I would never go back to kind of how I used to eat, God, years ago. You know, if I go back and think what I used to eat and drink, you know, and I just think you kind of want to, you kind of really want to feel that good. You've got to taste. It's almost like when people start with me, they're so scared that it's total like this lifestyle change. You kind of want to put them forward and say that this is how you can feel, you know, if you can just kind of go through that few weeks of adjustment, so it's well worth it.
Okay, can I ask what type of things you would use in your smoothies? I know you said about putting vegetables things, because when I use spinach in my smoothies, but what other contents? Use it just berries and
depends what you like. I mean, I don't do fruit, so I don't really eat an awful lot of fruit at all. The odd banana here and there, but not in my smoothie. It tends to be in the evening. I tend to just use vegetables, so like I'll use coconut milk as my base. I'll put celery, cucumber, avocado, spinach, watercress is brilliant. If you like the taste of watercress. And then you can put a little bit of honey in it, just to sweeten it up a little bit, but it just depends on your taste.
That's the kind of thing you can take to work as well, couldn't you? If you get a good container, you can take it, you know, and have that later on.
But if you wanted something sweet in it and you wanted to put blueberries or something like that.
Because obviously now you've highlighted yoghurt, that's something that I wouldn't actually put in my smoothies, would be yoghurt as my base, but now I'm thinking, oh, maybe I need to take that out and
try something else, try some coconut milk.
Just easier, you can cram, it's easier, isn't it? If you think about vegetables you can put in a smoothie, that the quantity you can get in a drink as opposed to eating. It's quite a lot of eating. Yeah, if you want to eat, of course you want to eat meat, sometimes it's just convenience. I mean, you can take it on the run, it's a kind of thing.
But your body actually feels fuller.
Yeah, there was, I remember seeing a programme where there was a soup